Aunt and Uncle's Murder?
Nope. That's a call to adventure.
Same people. Leia's Call.
That's a call to adventure. That's a herald.
Oh.
So the first threshold they cross are the stormtroopers looking for the droids. And Luke's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We got the droids, we're looking for the droids, what are we going to do? Oh shit.
These aren't the droids you're looking
It's
for.
crisis, yeah. And Obi-Wan says, these aren't the droids you're looking for because stormtroopers have soft brains, and the stormtroopers go, oh yeah, you're right. And off they went.
Ooh.
So that's the first threshold. Is the threshold guardian, in this case the stormtrooper squad, tries but fails to block the way. In Lord of the Rings, there's multiple threshold guardians that they'll encounter throughout the story. Mm-hmm. In Lord of the Rings, one of the threshold guardians was the storm in the pass. It tried but failed to stop them. Yeah, they had to backtrack a little bit so they could go through the Mines of Moria, but it didn't stop them, because if it stops them, book's over and you're done, and you end up with a short, boring book. The hero can try to break through the Guardian, or can try to move around it. When the stormtroopers are like, hey you, what's up with those droids? Obi-Wan fully had the option of drawing his lightsaber and cutting every single one of those guys down. So that would be breaking through the threshold Guardian. Instead, he did the mind trick, and they moved around the threshold Guardian instead. So your hero usually has multiple options to pick the one that's appropriate for the character of the hero. They tend to cluster around doorways, gates, narrow passages, thresholds, that kind of thing. That's where they're normally found in most literature.
What, the threshold guardians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have to be in a situation like that, but that's for some reason where they're found. Thus the name. The guard's threatened, but it may just be an illusion. And if done properly, Obi-Wan, if he was powerful enough and the stormtroopers were soft-brained enough, he could have been, you're now my bodyguard. And have the stormtroopers hop in the speeder, and now they have
Escort
bodyguards.
them,
Yeah.
Think like Labyrinth, the movie, the little dog, the
Right.
fox guy who's guarding the bridge,
Yes.
who ends up coming with them and helping them.
Yes, that's a threshold guardian turned into an ally, right there.
So it's like invasion, escape, mapping out where you're going, and like that moment.
Yeah. It all comes together, and this is the point of conflict. It is not the point of conflict. It's not the major climax of the story. And the first threshold is where the adventure begins in earnest, because once you cross it, there's no turning back. There's no going home until the adventure's said and done, until it's over with. And it could be a rough landing. Wizard of Oz, ultimate example. The passage into the special world is going to be exhausting, frustrating, disorienting. The bar where they meet Han Solo and Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, totally out of his element. He's lost. He's the country boy now in the big city. Well, it's probably a medium-sized city, but yeah, he's in the city now, and he's surrounded by all these seedy characters. And he has no clue. He bumps into the guy. Oh, excuse me, sorry, sir. So he's disoriented there. He's crossing the threshold, and he's got no clue what he's doing. So, any questions over crossing the threshold? First threshold. I'm going to speed up a little bit, guys, just because you guys have been sitting for a while, I've been talking for a while, and we're running out of time. So, we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 pages to go. Wow. There probably should have been 2 presentations, but
I shouldn't be asking, stopping you and asking questions.
No, that's actually good. No, it's good. So, tests, allies, and enemies. So if you look back at the first page, this is what the hero is encountering. They're encountering test, allies, and enemies. The hero is now firmly in the special world. There's no going back. And no matter how experienced or awesome they are in the ordinary world, they're now a novice in the special world. They can't draw on all of their skills and abilities that they have in the ordinary world, or maybe they just don't apply. Imagine the group of us time traveling back to 1066 and we were dropped in the Battle of Hastings. Okay? Stan and I might be able to do a halfway decent job, but we're not lifetime soldiers as far as that style of fighting goes.
Wheel of metal.
Yeah, chances are none of us would survive the battle because we don't have a clue. Even if we were properly equipped, even if, William the Bastard, who he was before the Battle of Hastings, showed up and said, oh, hey, you guys need this armor and these bows and these swords and all that, go run that way. I don't know about you guys, but I get about 40 yards and fall over. So that would be us from our ordinary world, this room, tossed into a special world, somewhere, some historical battle in the past. All my programming skills, they don't matter. My ability to type over 100 words a minute, doesn't matter.
Our survival depends on our hiding spot.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Who can
My
dig
ability
deeper?
to cut coupons out of the survey paper,
Archery.
they don't matter. So keep that in mind when you're going from the ordinary world to the special world, is the expertise that your hero has probably doesn't matter anymore.
Little bits of it, maybe.
Absolutely,
Like
yes.
if you-
They need something to fall back on.
You
They need
trained for a triathlon or something.
Right.
That might put you in a little better spot for running away.
Yes, yes. Courtney's book in the Tuesday group, The Ordinary World, is this utopic society that's self-contained within a world, or within walls, and everything's provided for the characters and all that. My guess is she's going to end up chunking her primary characters outside the walls into dystopia. And when that happens, they're going to have to learn how to hunt and kill and cook and all that, because in their utopia, everything's provided for them. I want a steak, the steak shows up, that kind of thing. So that's my best guess on her story, and that's a great example where they're way out of their element. They may be genetically engineered and have an IQ of 220, be able to jump over 8-foot walls, but they're screwed because they're not from that society, not from that world.
And it wouldn't be interesting otherwise.
Exactly, exactly.
I was trying to think of a realistic instance, but war is a very worse.
Yeah.
What was that movie? Had runners?
Running with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
No.
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run. Thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
That utopian society where then all of a sudden they're thrown out into what is now the real world,
Right.
and it's like, oh wait a minute, this is weird. So
Yep. It's a great example. So the most important function of the shift between ordinary and special worlds is testing. It is putting your hero to the test. Can they pass the test? Can they move on with the story? So the way Vogler puts it in his book, Act 1 is the entrance exam to get into college. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Can you read, write, do a little bit of arithmetic? Okay, yeah, you're in. Act 2, which is what we're getting into in this phase of the story, is pop quizzes that lead to a midterm. What's the key thing about a pop quiz?
It's unexpected.
It's unexpected.
Exactly. So the test that you're putting your hero through, the hero cannot expect them, cannot prepare for them, cannot know they're coming. Just, it's going to pop up in his face, and he's going to have to deal with it. So, midterm, you know what's coming. Midterms are usually cumulative, meaning all these pop quizzes that you've taken, every single one of those questions in some form are going to be asked on the midterm. So how well does the hero learn and retain that learning from the pop quizzes when the midterm happens? And we'll get into that later on in the subsequent pages. And then Act 3, which is your big climactic scene, that's the final exam. Has the hero truly prepared himself through all these trials and tests and accumulating allies and gifts and all that? Is he truly ready for the big bad? So that's kind of how that breaks down. For allies, we've already gone through those quite a bit, but tests can provide allies for, so your hero who's protective of women's walking down the street, hears a woman scream in the alley nearby, just out of instinct goes and rescues her. She's being mugged or whatever. The woman's like, oh, thank you very much. Can I hang with you because I don't feel safe? And now protagonist has an ally. Kind of a cheap example, but it's there. Actually, Lawrence Webb Evans used it in The Misenchanted Sword. The protagonist was looking to die, so he's trolling the slums, looking for somebody to kill him, please, because he's got the sword that's keeping him alive basically forever. Saves a woman. The woman happens to be a wizard that knows how to return his youth and retain his youth. And so through this ally, he gets an avenue of more or less living forever. So, enemies. The Act 2 brings the shadow out of his hiding grounds and into the forefront and into the face of the hero. So, it may not be the shadow himself, it could be the shadow's allies, his underlings, his thugs, things like that. But now the conflict between these two opposing forces is starting to come to a head. The new rules of the special world have to be learned by both the hero and the reader, which is where mentors and allies come in. They help. And then one of the key places that you can have during this phase of the story is what's called the watering hole, which is the cantina scene. A watering hole attracts predators, prey, survivors. So in the case of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is prey. He's the country bumpkin boy. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And he's in a room full of predators and survivors. Han Solo, I would consider a predator. I consider him a survivor. But it's a good place to learn, attract allies, confront enemies. Because honestly, I do believe the cantina scene is the first time you actually see a lightsaber used. When he meets Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan says, "Here's your lightsaber," and he pops it out and goes, "Okay, that's a neat toy," puts it on his belt. This is the first time you actually see somebody hit by one, and that's when you learn, oh, damn, okay, that's a nifty weapon. So, and it reveals the hero's true character when under pressure. The watering hole does. This character can change. The character can arc. So, take Luke Skywalker in two different time periods in his life, similar situations. So he's fresh from the moisture farm in the cantina, bumps into a guy. "Oh, excuse me, sir. Nice polite boy." Fast forward to Return of the Jedi. He's in a similar situation talking to Jabba the Hutt in Jabba the Hutt's compound. And who's in control of that situation? Luke is. He can't do the mind control thing on Jabba because Jabba doesn't have a soft brain like a stormtrooper. But Luke has absolutely no question in his mind that I am in control of this room. This is my room. I want my friend back. And of course, they drop the trap on him, which he wasn't expecting, but he still gets out of the situation. So that's a character arc. That's character change. Readers love character change. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about situations you can drop your characters into. So any questions over this page? All right, approaching the inmost cave. So, Wizard of Oz. Dorothy gets dropped into Oz. She's now learned the ins and outs, who's on what side and where she fits. And she's walking down the brick road. She's going to meet more threshold guardians, flying monkeys, for example. She'll encounter supreme wonder and terror, just really cool stuff. And along the way, while following the brick road, she's meeting some allies. She's preparing for the ultimate ordeal. She's, the showdown with the wizard. And now she's seeking the heart of the special world. She's heard about this Wizard of Oz that can send her back home, so that's her goal. She's got an antagonist who's trying to stop her, the Wicked Witch, wants those ruby slippers back. But there's different approaches that Dorothy could have taken with finding the wizard and getting to the wizard. You can, had it been a romance, had she been trying to fall in love with the wizard, courtship could have been an option. You can just say, screw it, I'm walking in and demanding it. That's Harry Dresden, for the most part. However, when he realizes he's up the creek and being bold doesn't work, he'll step back and prepare. So he'll collect supplies, do some investigation. So there's different approaches to the inmost cave that the hero can take. choose the one that's appropriate for your character concept.